Chapter 9.
Continued.
The bottom of Variax maintained armor to protect against basic ground gunfire, but she had to rely on the automated flash beam defense to take out larger armaments. The enemy fire continued relentlessly. Micah wheeled herself to focus on the most deadly launches as her beams reached out in front of the planned transit. Scared of another life like blinking out, Micah pushed the engine speed even higher, worrying she might be too late. Now she had the problem of flight stability. Warnings started flashing that the ship had exceeded the stability point of the ship computers to control flight as Micah continued to accelerate. Variax now relied on Micah's adjustments to maintain key margin needed for flight. Micah didn't even notice the sweat dropping off her arms and body on the control panels. Her concentration focused on reaching her objective, saving the team. Only their lives mattered. A pop-up projectile appeared directly ahead of Variax, coming in head-on fast. Micah redirected the transmission beam directly at it and increased power. She played chicken with the deadly incoming attack explosive while continuing to push Variax faster. Micah continued to focus on the distributed attack, trusting her concentrated beam to destroy the incoming target. Her hands continued to blur across the many control panels. Micah took note that the beam had moved on to another target when the incoming projectile exploded, clearing her path ahead. Variax closed in on the team position. She radioed ahead, observing explosions happening around the target landing point. "Hang on, I'm almost there. I see the landing pad. Zone clear to land." "Cleared most of the area, but we're nearly out of ammo." "Understand, be ready. I'm coming in hot." "Roger that. Heads low. Hot spot on the right edge. Extra activity." Another light blinked out. Sparks was gone to the enemy surge on the right. Her ship raced over the final ridge to the landing zone. Her beams reached out to support the right edge as projectiles lift in an arc towards the ship and the remaining team positions. Micah didn't slow down Variax as she approached at full engine thrust, just barely off the ground. At the last moment, Micah pushed the engines into full reverse. The ship seemed to almost buckle in midair. At the last moment, the landing gears dropped. The ship quickly hit the ground, and the shock absorbers worked to the maximum, absorbing the pressure. Micah continued directing the energy beams at mapped targets around the landing zone. An enemy on the right edge launched some small explosives. The sensors picked up on the arching projectiles and instantly fried the deadly units, causing explosions just as they cleared the blocking trees. With the explosion, the trees erupted in flames. The radiation beams continued sweeping the area, attempting to suppress enemy fire. Attacking troops attempted to rush the ship from the right. The radiation beams swept the zone. The enemy bodies erupted and exploded from the energy burst. The remaining 3 members hammed at the side of the Variax by the entrance hatch. Everyone continued the suppression fire while waiting for the hatch to open from within Variax. Micah maintained focus on the threats, but one hand reached over and released the entry hatch, allowing their team in. With Trigger continuing to spray the area, Aces and Joker quickly released their equipment harness and crawled into the tight hatchway. After the first 2 entered, Trigger hit his equipment a release and dropped it into the pile, tossing in a timed explosive. With Trigger's remaining rifle, he continued spraying the area with suppression fire. At the last moment, Trigger tossed his weapon into the pile and dove into the hatch, rapidly pulling it closed as a shell exploded next to the ship, followed by the discarded equipment erupting in flames. "We're clear. Get us out of here." Triggering the back-up mine explosives, enemy troops rose into the air from the backup explosion, reclosing the mine entrance. Micah activated full thrust, turning Variax and twisting in midair, while the focused beams continued to sweep the area. Trigger struggled to latch the hatch internally as Micah pushed her controls to the maximum to lift off. With Variax rising off the landing area, new projectiles were launched from the mine entrance towards her ship. Most are destroyed in flight, but one struck the right strut, jerking the rising Variax. She fought with the controls while redirecting fire on the mine entrance to take out the weapon launchers. Micah's hands continued to blaze over the control panels as Variax accelerated to maximum thrust and altitude, leaving the mine entrance far behind. Suddenly, the mine entrance erupted in a massive explosion as a number of the red lights, both inside and outside the mine entrance, flashed out on the situation screen. The beam moved on as it continued to sweep the area. The three men braced themselves. Trapped in a tight tube, they bounced as Variax jerked and swayed its way through the maze of enemy placements. Micah continued her focus on the controls. She had 28 clicks to cover before they were out of the danger zone and can reach their landing location. Micah's hands continued to dance across the 8 control panels surrounding the flight cabin, keeping up with the suppression fire as the ship raced to safety. Danger continued to be launched from below in an attempt to bring down Variax, but the enemy's weapons were no match for her abilities, blended with the powerful ship defenses. Slowly the incoming projectiles ceased to be launched, and with a sigh, Micah took a deep breath. When they were finally out of danger, she turned the ship south towards home base. The motion smoothed out, and the noise from the weapon fire faded away. Only then did the men edge their way up the tube till Aces emerged, pushing his upper body into the pilot's cabin. Aces emerges partway with a bit of a tired smile. "Hello, beautiful." She half smiled down at partially emerged Aces from the hatch. "Hello, handsome. You guys okay?" Aces responded with a tired look on his face. "Better than back there. Can't thank you enough for your dropping in. We owe you dinner and drinks when we get back. Might want to pick up the speed. Trigger has a bad scratch." "Can't wait. Trigger's injured?" Mike semi-smiled as she pushes the speed to the max with a small jerk as the ship accelerated. When Variax reached the base with emergency vehicles surrounding the landing area, Micah fought with the controls till finally Variax landed firmly on the ground. The destroyed strut gave way and Variax collapsed to one side. With the three men emerging from Variax's tube, an ambulance pulls up. They loaded Trigger on the stretcher as the medics fight to stop the blood flow. Micah had jumped out of the cockpit and rushed to the side of Trigger as he was wheeled to the ambulance. As the ambulance pulled away, Aces and Joker put their arm around Micah as they took a moment to themselves, then headed towards the bunk room.
Well, folks, we've reached the end of the chapter. Click the link to continue listening to the story. Also, be sure to smash the like and subscribe buttons so you never miss another story on Watcher in the Fall. If you enjoy our videos, please click Patreon on the front page and buy me a drink. Thank you.